The air is heavy, suffocating. The light inside the prison facility is cold, harsh, and unforgiving. This is the year 2022. The system is broken, replaced entirely by cold efficiency and the pursuit of corporate profit. Captain J.T. Robbins, a decorated Special Forces soldier, is condemned. He killed his commanding officer, a necessary solitary act to stop an outright massacre of innocent civilians. They called it murder. They stripped him of his rank, his honor, and his life, declaring him a high-risk liability. Robbins is brought before the Warden, Absolom, a man who runs the penal system with the detached arrogance of a CEO. Absolom speaks in terms of corporate policy, of rules, of complete and total control over the future of the damned. He is smug, untouchable, supremely confident in his power, viewing Robbins as a problem of inventory management. But as Absolom turns his back, believing the prisoner is defeated, Robbins delivers a promise that cuts through the sterile air, a chilling vow of retribution. Never turn your back on me again. That single threat seals Robbins' fate. He is too dangerous for even the maximum security penitentiary known as the Level. A sudden, violent confrontation during his transfer, a desperate, brutal attempt to escape, confirms every fear the warden harbors. Robbins is not merely a criminal to be contained, he is a force of singular will and military training. He is designated incorrigible. Absolom has a unique, remote solution. He sends Robbins to Absolom Island. It is not a prison with walls or guards, but a lawless, untamed tropical rock 200 miles from the mainland, where the worst of the worst are simply dumped and abandoned to govern themselves. It is the absolute end of the penal system, a secret, sinister experiment in social Darwinism, monitored entirely by sophisticated satellite surveillance. Robbins is parachuted onto the island. The thick jungle humidity hits him immediately, but his instincts are sharp. He lands, battered but instantly on high alert, deep in hostile territory. Within minutes, he is captured by the island's dominant, most brutal faction, the Outsiders. These are the pure nihilists, a vast, savage horde, reveling in chaos and primal violence. Their only law, the rule of the strong. Their leader, Marek, is a charismatic monster who holds court in the crumbling ruins of an old, abandoned luxury resort, a grotesque parody of civilization. Marek, with his grating, arrogant laugh, regards Robbins as nothing more than fresh meat for the spectacle. He forces the new arrival into a fight to the death against his largest, most powerful lieutenant, a contest staged for the entertainment of his 600 chanting, wild-eyed followers. Marek is supremely confident in his man's brute strength. But Robbins, the trained killer, the disciplined soldier, moves with a precision and economy of force the outsider has never encountered. The fight is brief, brutal, and utterly decisive. Robbins has killed Marek's best man. Humiliated in front of his horde, Marek is nonetheless intrigued. He recognizes a power equal to his own and offers Robbins a place among the savagery. But Robbins's only goal is to leave. He uses the momentary shock of his victory to knock the leader into a foul, algae-covered pool. Before the outsiders can mobilize, Robbins seizes the single, priceless rocket launcher, the only sophisticated weapon on the island, and vanishes into the dense, booby-trapped jungle. The chaotic, relentless hunt for the man who humiliated their leader has begun in earnest. The chase through the wilderness is a frantic affair. Robbins is pursued through the labyrinthine, booby-trapped terrain, exhausting his stamina with every step. Cornered at the edge of a high cliff, he is struck by a poisoned dart fired by a hidden outsider. He plunges over the edge, tumbling into the dark, churning river below, unconscious and gravely injured. Battered, poisoned, but miraculously alive, Robbins is retrieved and tended to by the island's other, smaller faction, the Insiders. These men are led by the father, a wise, weary man of principle who maintains a fierce grip on human dignity. They have carved a small, fragile civilization out of the wilderness, farming and following strict rules, living under the constant, paralyzing threat of Marek's raids. Their settlement is a desperate sanctuary. Robbins meets Hackins, the chief of security, a pragmatic and suspicious man who views the aggressive soldier with deep caution. The insiders, including the curious prisoner Casey, are wary of the aggressive soldier who has brought the full attention of the outsiders to their doorstep. The father tries to make Robbins understand the immutable rules of this unique prison. He explains the grim reality of Absolom, the seamless satellite surveillance, the armed gunships that patrol the waters, the 200-mile distance to the mainland. "You're here for the rest of your life," he states, his voice heavy with resignation. But Robbins, the master escape artist, is driven by an internal motor that refuses to accept boundaries. He discovers the insiders are building a secret stealth boat, their last desperate hope for salvation. But their first test launch is a complete disaster. As the small vessel slips toward the open water, it is instantly vaporized by a distant, unseen patrol helicopter. The father is crushed, confirming his deepest fear. Absalom's surveillance is perfect, and a spy must have tipped off the authorities. But Robbins is undeterred. He finds the secret plans for a second boat. The only missing component, the necessary key to their freedom, is a vital engine distributor, a part he knows is buried within Marek's vast, disorganized camp. He cuts a deal. Retrieve the distributor in exchange for a seat on the final escape vessel. Robbins infiltrates the enemy camp a second time, a dangerous stealth mission. He locates the necessary part, but the mission is horribly compromised when he discovers young Casey, who had followed him out of misguided loyalty, captured and being brutally tortured by Marek. Robbins tries to free him, but both are swiftly taken captive. Marek, now boiling with rage, forces a final cruel spectacle. Robbins must fight Casey to the death. Two insiders, forced to destroy each other for the amusement of the savage horde. Casey, in a moment of devastating clarity and selflessness, realizes that one man, Robbins, has the capacity to escape and expose the island's atrocity. He forces Robbins' hand, impaling himself on his weapon, a necessary, devastating sacrifice that ensures the continued fight. Robbins escapes the planned execution, the guilt and determination of Casey's choice fueling his cold resolve. With the aid of a nervous spy from within the outsiders, a frightened man named King, Robbins breaks free. The loss of Casey and the destruction of the first boat solidify Robbins' final desperate mission. It's no longer about a personal escape, it's about tearing down the entire corrupt system. Robbins convinces the remaining insiders to abandon their meticulously built fortress, leaving it empty. Against the objections of Hackins, who fears chaos, Robbins stays behind. When Marek launches his massive, final assault, the outsiders find the camp empty, save for Robbins. Robbins fires the stolen rocket launcher, igniting an enormous incendiary bomb. The resulting firestorm sends out a massive, undeniable thermal bloom that screams through the satellites and alerts the world to the secret island. The Warden, Absolom, is forced to act. His game is over. He flies a helicopter to the island to contain the catastrophic disaster he inadvertently allowed. In the ensuing chaos, Marek, weakened but maniacal, attacks the father, who is in his final moments from the cancer he kept hidden. The father sacrifices his life defending Robbins, urging him to take up the mantle of leader. Robbins refuses the crown, but accepts the mission to expose the truth of Absolom. Robbins pursues and finally kills Marek in the jungle, ending the brute's savage reign. But the final escape boat has been destroyed. Robbins confronts King, forcing the spy to use the radio to contact the Warden. Robbins dictates a specific, clear beach landing zone for Absalom's incoming helicopter. The helicopter descends. Warden Absolom, arrogant and confident, expects to find a man broken by failure. Instead, Robbins, Hackins, and a few strong insiders ambush the crew. Robbins takes the pilot hostage. He confronts Absolom with the truth of his vile, inhumane experiment. In the ultimate defiant act of justice, Robbins throws the terrified Warden out of the helicopter onto the deserted beach. The helicopter lifts away, not toward prison, but toward freedom and justice. Robbins leaves Absolom marooned on the very island he designed to be his greatest secret, a prisoner of his own creation, fulfilling his initial promise in the most poetic and final way. Robbins and the surviving insiders escape to tell the world.